Hello, good evening and welcome to the Phil Furman College Sports Talk Show. I'm Phil Furman. I'll be your host for this evening. Actually, this will air 2 hours before the game on Saturday. This is the first of what is the Football College Sports Talk Show that we will do for the year. This evening I'm lucky to have two guests who are former Mountaineer players. One who played from 2002 to 2004, Mr. Fred Blueford. First off, Fred, thank you for coming. I appreciate the time that you've taken out, and how have you been?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. Now, Fred played in 2004, and actually he played a lot. Was on, what position did you play, Fred?
I played defensive end.
Defensive end, and I know that we've talked a little bit about it before, but we talked about the best game you ever had, and if I remember correctly, it was against Maryland. I remember that was pretty memorable that we talked about that, because that was when you just first came to WVU and you were relatively unknown, but after that it was hard for you to be unknown, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, I guess. The defensive lineman, offensive lineman really don't get the praise, but yeah, it was pretty good experience.
That is true. Defensive linemen, offensive linemen, they're kind of the workhorse. It's like you look at the horse and not the cart behind it. So I do understand that. But if I remember correctly, that was a game in which you actually had a couple of sacks, I believe.
I don't think I might have one. So if that, I just had a couple tackles for losses.
And that's even better than that. It's a couple tackles for losses. And Fred, if you can see this, we're sitting down, but Fred's a nice-sized young man. And not as a young man you are anymore.
Old man.
It's been 13 years now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's somewhere around there.
And I've known Fred for almost 10 of those years now. I've known you. We met in about 2006, 2007. And ever since then, we've just always talked. And I just want to know, Fred, how do you think the Mountaineers are going to do this year?
I think they're going to do pretty good. They have a good recruiting class. But, they look good on paper. You got to go out there and put in your time and to do what the coaches tell you to do. So
This is a year in which this is kind of one of the years where the Mountaineers are relatively unknown. Usually, we hear a big hype about the individual players and names. In the past, we've had, since the Louisville triple overtime, Pat White, Steve Slayton. You heard the Owen Schmitz, the Genos, those names. That this year, the only name I've really heard that's stuck out, but I don't think he's been tested yet, is Will Greer. Now, we've heard a lot about Will Greer. He's had a lot going on in the past, but he's still relatively unknown on the field. What do you think Will's going to do this year? Because I know you've heard a little bit about him too from the talks.
Like you said, it's the unknown. Players got to come in and make a name for themselves. I don't know exactly what he's going to do, because he had to put in that time to make a name for himself.
Yeah, he is unknown, but they say that he's a very very versatile quarterback. Yeah. He's got wheels as a running back, but he's got a cannon for an arm. I heard that he can really throw the ball well, and he had a good spring practice, and he should do well. But the problem, not even a problem, but my concern is, has he been battle tested?
Right.
Because come this Sunday night at 7:30, he's going to be in for a fight. Virginia Tech's already ranked in the top 25. They have a dual threat quarterback. They always have nice sized linebackers. We don't know the wide receivers. I'm a little concerned because I really haven't heard a lot about the wide receivers. What have you heard anything about the wide receivers?
I haven't heard that much. I think for me, I'm coming from a defensive perspective. They have to be able to stop the ball. So it don't matter if we can score. We just got to get them to stop.
Well, one of the things is we don't have a well-established line. We have that Grant Lingenfelter. He's a fifth-year senior. He's kind of the anchor. Now, the rest of them are relatively new because they lost 3 or 4 offensive linemen last year to graduation. So I think they're pretty young this year.
Yeah, that would probably be a good thing. People think that the veterans are the best, but in actuality, sometimes you have those young guys ready to step in and put in the work.
So you think they might be hungry?
Yeah, I would say.
Young guys are usually more hungry to establish themselves, and you know what? They might not be weary or worn out yet, because a lot of times when you have these seniors, juniors, and seniors that have been playing for 3 or 4 years, their knees have gone. Because they're susceptible to the chop block, things of that sort. So, maybe that will be a plus for the Mountaineers. I know that I think he's a sophomore, this Yodny Kajusta, and I know I'm just killing his name. He's 6'3", 245 pounds. He's going to be protecting Will Greer's blind side, but he's also going to be playing against one of the ACC premier rush ends, and that's that Trayvon Hill from Virginia Tech. I watched a little bit of film on this Trayvon Hill, and he's real fast off the snap of the ball. I don't know if Yodny can keep that blind side, because we don't want to see Will get. We all know what happens when you get smacked on that blind side. I'm hoping that he can hold Trayvon down, at least give Will two seconds to throw the ball. We want 3, but we'll take 2 if we can, right?
You're right. And plus, I mean, if he's elusive, then maybe he can get the chance to show his speed.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
that's true. We hope that. I want to get back to a little about the Mountaineers in the Big 12. We talk about Virginia Tech, and it is a big rivalry, this Virginia Tech, West Virginia. The last time they played was 2004, 2005, but it's a rivalry, no doubt. West Virginia holds a 28, 22-1 edge on Virginia Tech that we've won. But if I remember correctly, Mr. Bluford, in 2004, Virginia Tech beat you guys, or should I say one of the Vick brothers? Was one of the Vicks, was it Marcus or Michael that was playing there?
Yeah, well, I think it was 04 or 5. I think I wasn't there, but when I was there, we beat them. They was ranked like number, I don't know, 3 or 4, something like that.
Well, I remember in I think it was 2002. We go back when it talks about that, when it was probably 23 seconds left, and all we had to do was contain. Was it Michael or Marcus? It was Marcus Vick. Marcus, and we had to contain Marcus Vick, and he popped and rolled outside, and he went 47 yards, got down to the 23. They kicked the field goal. That was all she wrote for West Virginia. Yeah. I think we had 2 heartbreaking years like that against Virginia Tech. So I believe that all week, or the last however long since this game's been announced, West Virginia players have had to hear about that. Probably they've had to watch that game. They've had to watch the highlights of Virginia Tech and West Virginia. I'm sure that they're not showing that many games that West Virginia beat Virginia Tech, because I don't think that would really hype me up or get me ready, but I'm sure they showed Virginia Tech beating us, because that's what would get me ready.
Yeah. Yeah, or if they focus on doing what their assignment is, and then don't worry about what happened in the past. You're starting all over. I know it's hard to believe, but you got to start each play over like it's your last play.
And that is a good thing to think about. You get a lot of players who can't carry that on. They get a down play where they've gotten beat, and it takes them 3 plays to get back to where they need to be. And what you really want is, that play is gone.
Right. Let's
get ready for the next play, because that's the first play, right? Mm-hmm. And after that first play, let's go.
Yep.
And the Mountaineers, they have to go. I see where West Virginia is ranked 6th in the Big 12. That's hard for me to believe, considering all of the coaching changes. You have Bob Stoops at Oklahoma, who retired. I believe there was a change at Oklahoma State. You have TCU that really lost one heck of a quarterback. How do you think the Mountaineers are going to be in the Big 12 this year? Do you think we're going to be sixth, or do you think we can surprise some people?
I think it's a good opportunity for them to surprise them. The reason why they first was picked sixth because you have coaches change, but the core players are still there, and the guys come from the same system, so they're going to pretty much run like the same system probably.
That's true, because you got Texas Tech with that same coach,
right.
And I believe they have their quarterback back. And they're a very underrated team.
Right.
Not to talk about all the other teams in the Big 12, but we will talk about that a little bit. But as far as that goes, I like the Mountaineers' chances in the Big 12. What is it? The top 3 or 4 teams in the Big 12 go to the major bowls.
Yeah.
I think that's how that works. And I could see us going to a major bowl, but just because, like you said, unknown and hungry. People don't have a lot of expectations for the Mountaineers this year.
Yeah.
And I like it when we can play and not have those expectations, because if anybody remembers in the past, when West Virginia gets to the top 10, something always happens.
Yeah, we've been
something
losing.
always happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, So, what are you doing these days?
I work for a pharmaceutical company. I also have a little small business side that can keep me busy and focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that small pharmaceutical company, it's one of our major pharmaceutical companies in Morgantown.
Well, that's a big pharmaceutical company.
Right.
I have a personal.
You have your own.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
So that's good. And so since graduation from college, you've stayed in the area.
Yeah.
Pretty much stayed loyal to the Mountaineers. You will always wear that blue and gold in your heart.
Yes, sir. I'm a townie now. That's what I tell
A
people.
townie.
Yeah.
I that's not a bad thing when you're in Morgantown, West Virginia,
Okay.
because this is touchdown city. We bleed blue and gold here. I've been a Mountaineer fan since 1969. Of course, I got the opportunity like you, but I got to work with the staff and be a part of it, and be a part of actually some of the great Mountaineer games. And you know what? Once you've been around it, you love it forever.
Right.
And that's why you're still here, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm talking to Fred Bluford, played for West Virginia University Mountaineers football team. My name's Phil Furman. This is the Phil Furman College Sports Talk Show, and we will be right back with you. Hello, my name is Phil Furman. I'm the CEO of the Kids to Camp Foundation. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that helps run sports camps, gets tutors for children who are in our sports camps for our education. We do health awareness, and right now our endowment is multiple sclerosis, and we are working closely with other organizations in the area to help eradicate homelessness. We did run just in the summer, but now we are running year-round because we want to see those children who are young still participate in organized sports when they get from middle school to high school. We're seeing today where there are so many children who are not staying eligible that we want to try and help with that. I'm working closely with the WVU Diversity and Multicultural Department and using some of their college students to help tutor. We also have mentors who oversee the whole program, as well as working closely with our CFO, James Clark, to get grants and any type of funding we can for our 501c3 company. September 16th, we are having a golf tournament at Paradise Lakes, and we hope to see 4-man teams there. We already have 3 or 4 teams signed up, but we would love to have many more. We have many major sponsors that are going to be helping with us, and we hope that we can get a lot of people out that day just to support children who need help with their homework. It sounds like something basic that we should take for granted, but a lot of times a child will come home and they'll either have 1 or 2 parents that will always be working. We want to help with that because those are the children who need help with their tutoring, who need structure in their life even after school, because those are a lot of your good athletes who don't get the opportunity and chance to play when they get to high school. So we would love to see anyone who wants to help with that financially, or just to come out and help us with the tutoring or mentoring. We have many different facets that we could use people in working with us. Thank you very much for this time. My name is Phil Furman, and we are Kids to Camp. And we're back to the Phil Furman College Sports Talk Show. I'm still talking here with Fred Blue Bluford, former Mountaineer grade. Fred, we were talking about the Mountaineers, and one of the things I want to talk about now is offensively. What do you think the Mountaineers are going to do offensively against Virginia Tech?
Well, mostly the first half of the day they're gonna have like the scripted plays that they don't normally do, just to see what the defense is gonna do. I would suggest them just go out there and do what you do best. If you gotta throw the ball 80% of the times, throw the ball 80% of the times. If you gotta run it, 20, run 20.
I know what you're saying about that. West Virginia has 3 good running backs in McCoy, Petaway, and Crawford. Of course, Crawford was injured early last year, but he's come back. As Holgerson stated, Bud Foster, who's a great defensive coordinator for Virginia Tech, is going to be ready to stop the run with those linebackers he's got. He's got 3 fast linebackers, and they are going to be looking to stop the run. But the difference you said is Will Greer can throw the ball. Now, we've heard that, but I don't think a lot of people knew. Will Greer, as a starter when he played for Florida Gators, is 6-0, and he had big wins against Tennessee and another SEC foe. So he's battle tested from what I did not know before in the SEC, which is a very tough conference.
Well, that's what people say. I think that the dollar amount determines the conference. It ain't the play, but if you have a good offensive lineman, then you'll be good. Like you were saying, like our offensive lineman, they fresh, so it's going to determine how good he's looked.
Yeah, and we are going to have to see how that Yadne Kashdu, which I'm just hammering his name. I'm sorry, young man. He had an ACL tear in the season opener against Missouri last year. So I think they're going to watch him closely on those run plays, because rather than drop back and pass block, when you have to charge forward and you have to angle block and that's going to have a little wear and tear on his knees. And I'm hoping that he can hold up against that. So, I think as our running game goes, our passing game goes. Mm-hmm. And, that's my question mark, because if anybody's watched former Virginia Tech players, former Virginia Tech teams, they don't let you run too much. You have to go over the top on them. They're fast and they're big in that front 6 or front 5. What do they run, that 4-2-5? They run a 4-2-5, I believe.
Yeah, that's what they've been running. That's what I would recommend. We run instead of the 3-3 stack. So, but I would prefer to run the 4 down line, because you can attack more. Yeah,
the West Virginia signature is that 3-3-5 defense, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But once again, I really haven't heard of the wide receivers for West Virginia too much. They're all new. All the it was Kevin White's brother. He's gone, and he was one of the others. Now there are, excuse me for not knowing their names. We're early on in the season, so we haven't got a chance to do a lot of research. So folks, you'll just have to forgive me on that. But we are going to hammer through this.
Yeah.
Every week we're going to be here for every Mountaineer game, and I do think that the wide receivers are going to be key, because if it's 3rd and long, we got to throw that ball. And they're not going to be in a zone too much. Virginia Tech, they match up man on you. So
I think players that they don't know what's suspect them. Some have it, some don't. It's just like when it's time for you to show up, is you going to show up or not?
So it's going to be who's hungry.
Right. That's pretty much at the end of the day.
Well, I hope that that offense is hungry, and I think they are, because in the past, Mountaineers have never had a problem with scoring. We've always had pretty high scoring offenses. We've had a lot of speed on offense, and I think this year is nothing different. We got a lot of speed. So Offensively?
Yeah, they just got to be hungry and willing to make those big plays.
So, we talked about offensively. Here's your forte. How do you think we're going to do defensively to stop that dual quarterback?
Well, I mean, hopefully Coach Gibby can come up with a good scheme. You know, I mean, you never know, man. Everything look good on paper, but you got to go out there and actually do what the coach did.
Got to execute, huh?
Yeah.
You got to execute. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, I'm looking up this defense for West Virginia because I do know that we have a cornerback who's untested. His name's Mike Daniels. He, along with Xavier Preston, is taking him out. Xavier Preston, he's been here 3 years and 32 games to get a start. So, they're untested back there, but then again, that makes them hungry.
Yeah.
And I do know that Virginia Tech has tall wide receivers, and they're fast. And that quarterback, if he doesn't see them open, he's going to tuck that ball and run. And just like any other former Virginia Tech quarterback, he can run.
Yeah. Long as they come in hungry, and I mean most of the DBs are short and quick, so
they are short and quick, aren't they?
So yeah.
That 3-3-5. Are they going to be able to contain that quarterback back there? Because if he gets the urge, he's going to roll out and run.
I'll tell you what, man. To be honest, I don't really know because I haven't followed Virginia Tech here lately. I mean, I watch football in my spur time. But yeah, I think if they go out there and they execute the game plan, play at 100% and fast, then they should be able to make some plays and win the game. But they ranked and we are ranked.
Yeah, we're not ranked this year.
Yeah, we
what is West Virginia?
We 21st or 22nd.
No, they're in the top 25. It said they were in the top 25, but
yeah, they like right there.
So this is it right here.
So they pretty evenly matched
for the first time.
Yeah,
evenly matched. Okay.
So that's what somebody said who writing the reports.
So this is a big coaching change for Tech because they have that new head coach, that Fuentes. He's a new head coach, and but he was part of the offensive part of Virginia Tech, so he has been around and he knows the rivalry between West Virginia and Virginia Tech. Do you think this whole past rivalry will play a big part in this game Sunday night? Do you think both sides, West Virginia and Virginia Tech, are hyping this up to their players?
Yeah, I definitely believe it's a whole bunch of history, and plus, man, we like right here within 4 to 5 hours radius.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a pretty good game.
Yes, I'm expecting a good game. Also, actually, we are here in our semi-studio, which is a very nice basement studio that my friend James Clark, and business partner, and my CFO has graciously allowed us to do this here. I want to thank him for that. Also we have a great sound team in Mr. Thomas Van Dever, if you're from West Virginia, the way you say it, and Mr. Cortez Harrison. These gentlemen have graciously come in and doing the sound for us and the video, and we really appreciate their time too. And I really want to thank you, Blue, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And hopefully it won't be the last time this season. I'd love to have you back. I'd love to just sit and talk with all former Mountaineer players. It's one of my great pastimes, is just sitting and talking football, and I love to talk football with anybody who'll sit and talk football. So I do want to thank you, Mr. Fred Blue Bluford, for being here. And we have another guest coming up, Mr. Adid Charles, and we'll be right back with the Phil Furman College Sports Talk Show. And we're back to the Phil Furman College Sports Talk Show. My name is Phil Furman. I'm your host. And we have another former Mountaineer player, Mr. Adid Charles. Good evening, Adid. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I appreciate that. Now, you played for the Mountaineers in 2015.
That is correct.
And you were on the team for 1 year?
1 year.
1 year. We're going to have all kinds of players through here that played 1 year, that played 4 years. that never even played at all, that were just a red shirt. That's just the way it is. We keep it real here. We are an independent broadcasting show, so we pretty much can do what we want. And one year is, what position did you play for West Virginia?
Well, I played when I first made the team. I was a safety. I was a free safety, and then after a few weeks, I got moved to strong safety. And that's the position I played ever since.
Huh. So did you, obviously you practice every day, you got into those battles, and when I was with the team, there's one thing that people don't realize, that a lot of hard hitting, a lot of battling goes on in practice, sometimes more than in games. Is that correct to say?
Yeah, practice is very interesting, to say the least. There's a lot of arguing and usually a lot of fighting.
And
Offense and defense kind of don't get along during practice, especially when the teams get together, 7-on-7, or they do the inter-practice team. They do team, they go live and they hit. It gets pretty rough.
I guess we'd say it gets pretty ugly.
Ugly.
I remember watching one of the practices because, of course, I was there when Rich Rodriguez was there and Bill Stewart right before Coach Holgerson came in. And I remember one of the drills that Coach Rod would do is called the Speedway. And that's basically a one-on-one from the running back, quarterback, center, lineman, linebacker, and a defensive back. And they all had to engage. The only person who was void of the hit was the quarterback. But everyone else got hit. And it was usually a 40 yards long. And I do remember a former Mountaineer defensive back and a freshman. And the freshman got the best of him and hit him. And the next thing you know, this defensive back jumped up and slammed this running back down. Slammed this kid down, and Coach Rodriguez got so mad he grabbed this defensive back by his face mask and jacked him up, and I was like, whoa. And other people were standing there and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, this is just how practices go. So,
Yeah.
I do know that from a fact that they're very intense, because every time you step out in practice, you're competing for a starting spot. Your spot is up for grabs every week, because there's a lot of talent on these teams,
To say the least.
to say the least. Yeah. So, how was that every day practicing and hitting every day? Were now, when you got off the field, were you all still friends, or did that carry off the field sometimes? Or?
It was definitely an experience, because when you there's so much talent, there's a lot of competition, and that brings out the best. So you see, especially one-on-ones with the receivers and the corners. Oh man, it gets heated, because nobody wants to get beat. Nobody wants to get that touchdown, but nobody wants to drop a pass also. But competition always brought the best out of everybody, and you fought on the field during practice. Coaches got in your face, and things got pretty wild. But when you went back into the locker room, it was kind of everything, kind of died down, and it was just business as usual.
That's what it is when you get on the field. It's a battle. It's a battle.
Very competitive.
And on that level, just like he said, now we're not talking youth league. We're not talking middle school ball or even high school ball. When you get to college, these guys are considered men, and these coaches, they have to come hard at them and very disciplined, and it does get heated. I've seen where there's been a lot of arguing and jacking people up, and to say the least. But you know what? That's all part of the game of football. The testosterone runs hard. I thought it was just with the players, but as a coach, being a coach and formally coaching on those levels, I coached at a couple of colleges. It is pretty heated. Your blood really boils, and like you said, once you get off the field, you kind of do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You take the deep breath, and you're like, okay, I'm okay. But when you're on that field, it's just like you can see the veins popping, and
Definitely, especially Holgerson was a big one. I've seen him quite a few times turn purple.
Coach Holgerson?
Yes.
Yeah, I've they showed him in a couple of games when the camera's gone to him. I know he's kind of wanted to be like those movie stars, get the camera out of my face, but he can't. And, you know, when you see the spit flying out of a coach's mouth, you know it's pretty heated. But you know what? That goes along with the game of football. When you get to that level of the sport, the intensity is like no other. I mean, I believe it's, you know, just like any contact sports that there are, you know, or not even contact sports, just anything that's machines or anything, it's just a high energy. But we're going to move on a little bit because, you know, we're starting to get all bloodied up here already. Now, I do know that you haven't been docile these past few years. You have been playing a little semi-pro football to keep yourself ready because I understand you want to go to the big show one day, so you're still working out. And how's that been going, you playing these last couple of years for a semi-pro football team?
It's definitely right. After things worked out the 2015 season, kind of started to dream of playing professionally. So in order to stay in shape and stay ready, been playing semi-pro for the past 2 years. Played out of Fairmont, and this summer played out of Morgantown. Well, you know, it went pretty well. Both summers I made All-Star team, so that's a step in the right direction. So hopefully we can take that on to the next level and show the scouts and the important eyes that, you know, I'm ready to play at the next level.
Well, I do understand that you have someone who's helping you to maybe keep in shape, and you're going to play for a new team that's coming to the area next year, and you have somebody who's trying to help you to get to that next level. Could you elaborate to us on that a little bit?
It's actually a funny thing you say that because he's sitting right there.
I will be the head coach next year of what's going to be called the West Virginia Wham. We are a new semi-pro football team we're getting our charter this year, and actually our attorney James Clark is in the works with that now. And I met Adid last year when we met at a meeting, and we just actually did not get along the first game. Not even the first game, the first meeting when we were meeting the players. This young man sitting next to me, he's one of those that are going to ask a lot of questions. But you know what? I fired the answers back off to him. We talked afterwards, and ever since then we've been in contact and talking, and I'm hoping to help him go to the next level because he is a talented ball player. From what I've seen in some games and on film, he's got speed, he's very agile, and he's not afraid to stick his head in there and hit. And
it's my specialty.
Yeah, he loves that. We talked about a little bit about his after the contact when the whistle blows, but you know what? That's just the whole part of football, and we're working on that. But you know what? I hope to one day see this young man play on the next level because he does have the heart for it. He does have the fortitude for it, and I hope I get a chance to coach him next year. But let's talk back about Mountaineer football now because that's what's going on this week. West Virginia's playing Virginia Tech. Long-time rivalry. What's your take on that?
My take, I think the Mountaineers going to come on top.
Well, that's a good start.
I know a lot of guys on defense. I used to play defense, so I know a lot of starters on defense, and some very, very talented athletes. Well,
do you know them? Well, I'd like to know that because I've, been doing a little research, but I haven't done my research enough to really get to know them. I know the two defensive backs, Xavier Preston and what's the other, Mike Daniels. They're DBs. Do you know who the safety is and any of the other linebackers? We'd love to know that.
Yeah, Xavier is a linebacker. He's a pretty big dude, pretty strong. Dave is another young guy that's done pretty well. Kaiser White. Oh, and coming back is Drayvon Henry.
I've heard that.
Free safety. He's going to be probably the Big 12's best free safety.
Oh, no kidding. Did he play last year, didn't he?
He had, he did play until he tore up his knee. So I think Drayvon is going to be probably the best free safety in the Big 12 this year. He's coming off last year he had a horrific knee injury. Now he's rested and he's hungry. He's hungry to hit. So I'm definitely excited to see how that's going to turn out.
The one thing that worries me is whenever players get an injury, we always wonder, is this going to be a crutch for them, or are they going to overcome that? Now, is he the type of player that he's not going to let this injury bother him at all? It's going to make him stronger.
He's absolutely going to come out stronger than he did than more like any other season he had before, because he has goals to reach and he knows that.
And
So he's gonna come out and he's gonna hit harder than he hit before. I don't think the injury is gonna slow him down as much. And as soon as he gets his feet under him, takes that first contact. 'Cause as soon as everybody takes that first contact, that's when things really kind of sink in. Because you can go through all spring practice and all that. Once you get that first good hit, now it's like, okay, now I'm awake. Now I'm back to 100%.
That sounds like a lot of good football players in the past. I've heard that from them. This Trayvon, do you think he's going to be able to? Because usually they'll spy the quarterback, especially this quarterback who they say can pass and run, and the quarterback for Virginia Tech, I heard, is a very good runner. Now, do you think they'll spy him on him so that when that quarterback takes off to go upfield, he's going to be the one to come up and stick him? Is he going to come up and stick this guy?
I think possibly it'll probably be the other safeties who will probably more so come up for the run stop. Trayvon will be more like he'll be more of the drop back. Probably drop back.
So,
look for as a quarterback escaping, maybe he's gonna make a bad throw. Trayvon's gonna be there to pick it up. But we have a lot of speed. There's a lot of speed on the defense. A lot of speed.
That's what I wanted to know. There is a lot of speed on that defense. That linebacking core, usually with the linebacking core, you lose a step with the linebacker. You have the linebacker who's got to take the guy coming out of the backfield, and I've seen in the past where, WVU's been weak at that, where that running back's got that step on him. I think I'm going years back, but I watched Najee Good, who's actually playing for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. The running back from Rutgers just went down the field. They threw probably 3 or 4 times to him, and it was hard for him to keep up with that running back. But this year's core of linebackers are a lot faster, is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. And I think when it comes down to it, Tony Gibson is a great defensive coordinator. So all of his schemes should have that contained. And with the players he has, all the talent that he has, it's perfect. It's a perfect fit. So I look for him to come out strong, take control, and make some plays. Because he's going to put them in position to make plays, and they have the talent to make the plays. So they come together. It's just a perfect match.
It's funny you talk about Tony Gibson. He was the coach under Jeff Castile, and Jeff Castile was the defensive coordinator for a while for the Mountaineers, and he left when Rich left, when they went out to Arizona, of course, or Michigan, then Arizona. But Tony Gibson was on that staff, so he's definitely learned Jeff Castile's ways. But you're right, Tony Gibson, I've known him a long time. I actually coached Tony Gibson's son in the youth league back in, my son and his son played, my son's 22, so when they were 10 years old, so 12 years ago, Tony Gibson was with that team, with, that. And so he's learned that style, but he's also been able to hone and made it even better, because they're still using the 3-3-5 that Jeff Castile ran, but now he's kind of put more athletes in that. And the good thing about that is, the more athletic player you have that's intelligent in that defense, that's better, because a lot of that defense is a one-on-one. They don't do a lot of zoning in that defense. Don't they do a lot of man? Then they usually have that one rover safety that comes up, right?
Yeah, they definitely have the rover. I mean, they do like to play a lot of zone. But they will play also a lot of man in the slot. But they have athletes to run. So that's not really a problem, and the plays that he calls puts them in position to make plays. So if a play is missed, it's probably more than likely somebody was not aware had a misstep.
Speed kills.
Absolutely.
That's what we want to see. We want to see West Virginia go hard and go fast.
They'll definitely be flying around. That's not a concern. They'll definitely be flying around all over the place. That's one thing during practice that's always instilled. You always fly around. Say, well, you're never walking. You're even if you're not on the play side of the ball, the opposite side of the ball, you're still running, you're still moving, and you're never stagnant. So as long as everybody swarms the ball, plays like they do in practice, what they do in spring, it'll be fine.
Well, you know, we know you're a defensive man. You know, we had Fred here. He was a defensive lineman. You know, today must be defense day, but you know what? I'm going to put him on the hot seat here. How do you think that offense is going to do?
I think the offense is probably going to do really well. They're going to do really well. And quarterback Will Greer, heard a lot about during the spring. He had a pretty good spring. They're really high on him. All my friends and players talking about, you know, he's a nice arm, he's accurate, and he should do really well. Also, Justin Crawford, really nice running back. So
he was injured early last year, Justin Crawford. But you know, I remember when he came in, he was real nice.
Absolutely.
He's strong and he's fast. Now, Petaway, who's another running back, and McCoy, they're all back from last year, right? And so, you know, in the backfield, we run 1-2 backs. So that means we're going to have rested backs coming in and out.
Yes.
And that's always a plus. Now, the one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about that I want you to tell me, what about that offensive line? That is the most unknown. You know, I can name 2, maybe 3 guys, Longfelter, Kyle Bosch, and Yodi, who I keep hammering his name. I'm going to learn your name by next week. I'm sorry, but you know, you have the center, your 2 guards, your 2 tackles. They've got to hold it down on that 4-2 front again that they're playing against. How do you think they will do?
I think they'll do really well. I think they'll do really well. This spring they've done. You know, they had a lot of time to practice, a lot of time to, you know, get the kinks and all that worked out. A lot of time for position battles, which really brings out the competition, brings out the best in everyone. And then they're definitely able to open up a whole lot of running lanes. And with someone who runs like Justin Crawford, they'll take 6-7 yards at a time. That's going to put pressure on the front line, which will then open up the pass game. And we have receivers that are really fast, and receivers that can run routes and make catches. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on opposing defenses. If you can run and then open up the passing game with quick receivers who can catch and deep threats like Karan, you know, the sky's the limit.
So you think we're going to lull them to sleep with that run, get them to walk up a little bit, and then boom, go up on top with them? Because I've seen Will Greer throw the ball. He's got a cannon, and he throws the ball hard. I haven't seen a quarterback throw the ball hard like that since Gino and another relative unknown quarterback for West Virginia, Jared Brown. Jared Brown was 6'3", 6'4", and could just throw the ball hard. You know, you think that's what's going to happen with us? We're going to walk them up, get those linebackers to come up, get those DBs to walk up, and then boom, go right in behind them.
Absolutely, they're definitely going to throw a lot because they have a lot of. They're not the quarterback who can hit targets and he has a cannon, and they have receivers who can catch. So once you get those to start taking those little runs, and you gonna make those little throws. You have some of the guys out there who are running 4.3, 4.4 speed at receiver, 4.2, and just give them the ball in their hands, and they're gonna take off. There are a lot of athletes, especially the receiver. A lot of quick athletes. And if a corner is low to sleep at all, they will get beaten at 6.
I want to see that all night. I can't wait. We're actually going to have a big tailgate for the game, and I can't wait to do a couple of my favorite things, and that's eat food and watch Mountaineer football. Now, here's a couple questions, and I'm going to let you go. We're underrated. They've ranked us as 6th in the Big 12. 6th in the Big 12. That's halfway down the list. I mean, that's kind of, to me, that's a little disrespect for West Virginia, who ended up, what was it, 3rd last year? 3rd in the Big 12? And now they've pushed us to 6th with all the coaching changes and everything going on. Do you think that West Virginia plays better unknown, or do you think we play better when we're expecting more?
I think they definitely play better when they come in with less expectations. So if you expect them to go 6th, I feel like they're going to achieve higher because there's more of a drive to prove everyone wrong. But you rank them higher, they will still do well, but it's more like I wouldn't say it's less of a tendency to do better, but you just do better when you're ranked lower. But they definitely should have been ranked higher, and I think by the end of the season we'll see that they should have been. I'll predict another second or third finish this upcoming season.
Well, there you have it from a former Mountaineer player. And one last question for you: what are you doing these days?
These days, I'm just trying to stay fit.
Are you still in school?
Yeah, I'm still in school. Trying to finish up my degree here soon, so I can get out of here. Try to go play professionally, and take my career to the next level.
Well, there you have it. Former Mountaineer player who we are proud to see do more, because anytime I see a Mountaineer player do more, it makes me feel good about not only West Virginia University, but the state of West Virginia, and just the fact that another player has as his goal to get his degree just lets us know that times have changed, we've evolved, and everybody's going for that next ring. I want to thank everyone for helping me put this show on tonight. Mr. Thomas Vandevever, I hammer his name too, that's just the way I'm going to do it this year. Mr. Cortez Harrison, our sound equipment gentleman who graciously come in to help us. I want to thank Mr. Adid Charles for being here tonight with his knowledge of the game. My name's Phil Furman. This is the Phil Furman College Sports Talk Show, and we are out of here.